That's not it. Sorry, I have like 50 tabs open.
What?
No.
Gosh, it's George Michael.
George Michael?
Found it. Um,
He wants to go to his
Okay.
bed. He's just screaming because he's tired.
It's relatable.
Whiny boy, huh?
Oh my god, yes.
All right. We good to roll? I think I've got this here. Now, don't hear any no's, so
I'm good.
yes, last time on Barovia, boys, you continued your journey from the Tsarpool encampment, where Madame Eva had given you some things to think about. Uh, but on your way past Castle Ravenloft, you were met with a rather unnerving black carriage, seemingly welcoming you in, that you all chose to ignore. However, its owner seemed rather slighted, and Lord Strahd von Zarevich came down to say hello himself. Irina was quite terrified of him, and it seemed as though he was determined to take her with him away from all of you. However, you were able to, I suppose one could call it, diffuse the situation, although Ervir might debate that
It's diffused.
definition.
Problem solved.
You also passed the old bone grinder on your way into Valaki and were sort of shooed away by a raven, seemingly that did
Nice.
not speak Sylvan when Ayakobachi attempted to talk to it. However, it sort of led you further on into the valley, and you did trudge your way finally into Valaki proper. This seems to be much more of a proper hub of civilization than anywhere else you've been in Barovia so far, although the guards were far from welcoming when you approached the gates. They seemed rather suspicious of you and Irina, in fact, asking you to prove that you were among the living by making yourselves bleed. Um, when Ayakobachi rather dramatically decided to cut his own wrists. Across the street, though, and therefore not causing grievous bodily harm, and Ervir healed that in front of the guards. They seemed rather wowed that a miracle worker was in front of them, and did let you all in. Um, I did biff a little bit at this point. I was kind of too in character with the guards, being wowed by you. There is important information that they would need to impart to you that I don't want you to miss. Um, as you are kind of let through the gates and they close behind you, you kind of start to get a view of this town. Um, one of them would turn to you, and he looks haggard. So does the other guy, but I'll recount. They're both wearing decently made, sort of half plate, just a breastplate and some, proper gauntlets with pauldrons, as well as large helms that bear the symbol of the blazing sun. That seems to be the Morning Lord's, holy symbol. But one of them kind of catches whoever's trailing in the group's sleeve, just gently, but just like quickly before you make your way into the city proper. It's important that there are, that there's a proper understanding between your group and the laws of this town. Now that you are across the threshold, it is important that you understand that the name Strahd is strictly illegal, even in written form. Even now, as I say the name, it is the last time you will hear it within these gates. Instead, if you must refer to the aforementioned individual, you refer to him simply as the devil or the beast. Do I make myself clear?
The devil.
Crystal.
Yep.
Got it.
Secondly, this noble town holds a festival each week in honor of the residents' general merriment and continued support of the Burgomaster. And as he says that, he kind of turns to indicate there's a very large house, I believe at the north of town. Sorry, I'm not looking at the map, but very clear, like palatial estate. Baron Vargas Valakovich. As a guest of Valaki, you will not be required to aid in the preparation for our festival, but your attendance and participation in each and every festival is absolutely mandatory for the length of your stay. Failure to attend will be in strict opposition to Valakian law. The next great Valakian festival, the Festival of the Blazing Sun, will be held in 3 days' time in the town square at dawn. Lastly, failure to comply with any Valakian law will mark you as criminals to our city, and you will be punished as such in accordance to our justice system. If you have any questions, now is the time to ask them.
Why spell that name again?
The Baron,
Yes.
Baron Vargas, Vargas, Valakovich, Vallakovich.
Gotcha. Thank you.
But yes, those seem to be kind of the core things. Also, on a board on the inside of the wall, near the guard shack, you'd see a posting. It's fairly straightforward for the general rules. Theft is to be punished by time in the stocks. And if you're not familiar with that term, like the big wooden stockade literally
aren't
chained
I?
up in the middle of town. Murder is to be punished with either time in the stocks or execution, depending on the circumstances. And from that phrasing, you can probably assume that may even mean killing in self-defense. And under that, there is a little additional note. Any act that results in the death of a member of the town guard is punishable by death without trial.
Laying down the law.
So no killing. Got it.
Yes. Also, it goes on to, there's paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs of like specifics. But the thing that probably stands out is there's mention of a re-education center. There is mention of mandatory tithes to the operation of the town jail, aka the citizens are required to give up a portion of their money to feed this clearly rather over-the-top police state. But basically, yes, you come away with like the feeling, and sorry for not making this clearer last time, this is not a place to uncarefully fuck around. I'm not telling you you can't run your box scam, especially because unless they're going to follow you and watch what you do with that coin, there are probably plenty of poor people that need help here too. But be cautious, I guess is what I'm telling you.
Okay. And then there was another thing because I wasn't sure, like with the
Mhm.
box that I have though. Since I stole it from the church though, is there a Morning Lord like symbol on there, or is it just a box?
Um,
So is it showing that it's like from
it's
like the Morning Lord
no,
church?
it was not. First of all, you would assume most churches here would be dedicated to the Morning Lord in all of Barovia.
Right.
So it wouldn't necessarily like identify it as being from Barovia Village, even if there were. But from what I recall, the description of it simply says alms for the poor on the front. It does not have a holy symbol. There's nothing extravagant about it.
Okay.
Which, if you're thinking about that, means you could either run it as you're running a collection for the poor that you're going to take somewhere, or that you're poor and need donations yourself, which kind of actually widens the scam depending on how you want to run it.
Right.
But also, if there is anything you guys wanted to ask the guards, they kind of gave you an opening for that if you have any specific questions.
I'm just gonna ask about the best place to sleep and if there's any well-known weaponry, blacksmith, any type of fun shops that you know about, any key places that's popular.
Sure.
Not all of them, just like in that vicinity.
It's good that you brought up the weapons of your own accord. Yes, there in fact are several shops here in Valaki that can assist you in both maintenance and procurement of weapons. But it is important to note, and he looks over all of you, I think most of which are carrying obvious weapons. I don't know if Narlag is beyond like a walking stick. I don't know if you have a staff or not, but I know
Yeah, it's a
Ayakobachi
staff.
has a bow, Ervir has a long sword, Irina has a long sword. Relmir, are your daggers concealed?
Hello.
I would say like my dagger would be though, but probably not my short sword.
Okay. Um, it is important that you register those weapons with the town guard. You are free to carry them in town, to be swung only in either defense of the town or of yourselves. However, everything you carry that may be used as a weapon must be registered and tied to your name to assist in any potential investigations. If you're looking for a purveyor of weapons, I suggest you check out the Arasek Stockyard. That's Arasek Stockyard. Um, sort of a collection of many things, but weapons are certainly among them. As for a place to stay, the Blue Water Inn is sort of the only game in town. And at this, the other guard would cut in slightly less gruffly. Well, and the the drinks are free. That always helps. Not to mention the Martikovs are quite friendly. And the other guy, like seeing this guy's getting too chummy with you, kind of elbows him, and he snaps back to like more proper attention. Yes, that is the Blue Water Inn. They recommend
You said the Martikovs?
Martikov. Yes, which
The winery people?
sounds like it might be the same family. Yes. And the
Where
note
would
that the
we-
drinks are free probably reinforces that line of thinking. Good catch.
Where would we register our weapons?
He would gesture like 20 feet down the road. There's a little tent set up, like literally you'd have to walk past it to walk along this road. And there's another symbol of the actual like Valky banner, which matches the guard's armor. And he would just gesture, speak to the clerk there. They'll get you sorted out.
Are we going to get patted down for like weapons?
Are you asking him that, or are you asking me
What?
that?
Yeah.
Not
You're
him.
asking
I assume you're
Me-
asking me that.
Inner monologue.
No, I'm asking you that.
Uh, Difficult to say for sure, but you could certainly find yourself at the back of the line.
Oh yeah, it's a good idea.
And if you're smart about it, you don't even have to be directly in view of either the guards here or the guards in the tent. Just kind of be around the side, further into town. Um, but yes, those are sort of the key things that you need to know. Again, they're very, very strict about any sort of harm being dealt among citizens, and definitely do not kill a guard by the sound of it. They will, given what this sign says, basically summarily execute you on the spot. You are required to attend the festivals when you are here. The next one is in 3 days. Um, and yeah, the mention of the name Strahd is not allowed within the town. Um,
Also, with him being referred to him like as like the devil, though, they're
mhm.
not gonna like be all weird about me with being like infernal with like horns and stuff. Are
It seems as though the guards didn't particularly like either the look of you or Narlug coming in. Again, this is a human settlement. Even Ayakobachi probably gets like a bit of a side eye. However, they're not like refusing to speak to you directly or spitting on you or anything. Running off alone in a dark alley might be a bad idea. You get that vibe. However, with a group, nobody seems to be,
gotcha.
giving you too dirty of a look. But yes, good ears definitely sounds like there might be some fear of devil worship and fiends in general in this town. But yes, the two of them would sort of, offer you curt little salutes and will turn back to guard the entryway. And as they do, one of them just gestures, please register your weapons. And that'll be the end of it. Um, and yeah, I think realistically, Irina would just kind of shrug and Been through all of that nonsense before, but I'd forgotten rather how hmm, direct they were about all of it. Uh, it sounds rather scary, but as long as we mind our manners, it shouldn't pose much of a threat. Um, and she would step ahead and just go first when it comes to registering her weaponry.
I'll
Um, go ahead.
I'll be like, well, if the hunt for Isak was difficult before, it's basically impossible in this place.
Mhm.
Reconnaissance will be key. I have no idea what he looks like, but I know I'll see him when I see him. And
Um,
keep an eye out, and if just keep your whereabouts with you.
mhm. I think she's mentioned to you before a little bit about what he looks
I
like.
might have notes.
Yeah.
Um, in fact, I'm fairly certain. So, in case you didn't write it down,
Probably didn't. I got
um,
Isak
sh-
Strani. Don't know
okay.
why I put that.
She mentioned in passing that he appeared to have been cursed or corrupted in some way.
Okay, now I'm starting to remember it. Yeah.
And
Okay.
when she said that, she'd actually glanced at Rolmir.
Mhm.
Infernal
It's
touched.
Yeah,
Infernal touch.
sounds
Claws,
as though one of
scales,
his
eye of hate.
arms is particularly monstrous and scaly with claws and whatnot, and the mark actually creeps up the side of his face and neck as well.
Okay, I'm definitely gonna
Um,
reiterate that with the group because I totally remember.
Yeah. Yeah, like deformed arm too.
yeah.
I have in my notes.
You don't know too much about him other than that, and she didn't either. She does know he resides here in Valaki, though.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, she would, kind of nod in assent to you, saying like, "Keep an eye out for him." And she certainly understands that he's important to you, although she doesn't quite get the full picture. I don't think you stopped and explained. Um, but she'll step up to the tent, um, and we'll go through the process of stating her full name, presenting her longsword. She also will pull a dagger out of her boot and present that as well. And you can see the scribe is taking like distinct notes about the appearance. It's not just like one longsword, one dagger. It's like um, one longsword emblazoned with the crest of Barovia Village, one dagger finely made, small jade stone in the hilt, like that kind of uh, extensive detail.
One book titled Penis Pumps Are My
Yes.
Back My Bag Baby. Written
Swedish
by
made
one
penis
Austin
enlargement pumps
Powers.
and me. Yes. It's that. Like the clerk is clearly kind of bored, but is thorough about it. Um, and she would just, those are the only two weapons I have to declare. I have nothing else upon my person. The guard kind of looks her up and down, and you can see him kind of studying her to see if he can kind of suss out whether or not she's being truthful. She just offers a little smile, and he nods and has her sign the ledger next to the entry.
I'll go second,
Okay.
and I'll just walk up, very puffy chested, and say, Ayako Bachi. I always fucking forget my dad's name, bastard. Uh, Ayako Bachi, uh, Baldorson, and from the Evergo Force,
Belderson.
and I will, I'll show him my longbow. I'll show him
Mhm.
that, and then I'll also, yeah, I'm not sneaky. I'll go ahead and just take out my dagger from my boot and toss it on the table as well.
Okay. As he's writing your name down, he like absolutely butchers the spelling. It's phonetic and kind of close, but he doesn't give enough of a shit to ask you to stop and spell it out. Um, and you can see as he kind of studies you, uh, he takes note of your ears, takes note of your particularly fine features, and he like tries to judge whether or not he thinks you're lying. You're not, so I'm not going to have you roll against him. But after a long moment, he nods. Iokobachi, welcome to Valaki, and spins the ledger around for you to sign next to the entry for your
is
things.
is the ledger like with a pen with a quill and ink?
Yes.
Can I stick my thumb in the ink? and just like thumb it
Sure.
with a
Yeah, there'd
fingerprint?
be room. Mhm.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I don't have a signature. I just use my
Fair
my
enough.
paw.
And as he spins the book back around, he looks at the thumbprint, he looks at you, and as you start to kind of walk away to make way for the next person, he mutters under his breath, and you can hear the scratching of the quill as he writes next to your entry, possibly illiterate. Um, who's next?
Let's go next.
Okay.
Yeah. So do I have to say my name?
Yes, your name and any equipment you wish to declare, please.
Okay. Name is Relmir, and then I'm gonna show him my short sword, short bow, and then I'm just gonna pull out my dagger though that I had like hidden from like inside my coat. And
Okay,
show
so
him.
you're
I'm
gonna
showing.
declare it?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
showing everything.
All right. Ralmir, he writes down. Any surname?
Nope.
He nods. And we'll just jot next to it, common born. And then he thinks about it. He looks at you and he writes, red skin, right? It is red, matching your portrait.
Yep.
And horns. And he notes short sword, short bow, dagger, anything special about them. You don't have to like know an answer, but he would
Yeah,
take down the
they're
details.
just like common stuff. So
Fair enough.
nothing fancy.
And he would pivot the book around for you to sign.
Okay. And then I'm just gonna try to do fancy stuff because I'm not really trying to do consistent like signatures. So just so
Mhm.
for like tracing and stuff though. So I'm just gonna do a sleight of hand roll.
Okay. Just to make sure that it's not recognizable if you do sign your
Yep.
name elsewhere compared to this. Sure.
Yep.
Make a note of that.
Nice.
And I was still very buried when I did the roll, but
You look good.
Who's that guy?
good.
What's up with all these Resident Evil references?
I like that. Good thinking. Um, all right. Welcome to Valaki, Ralmir. Next.
I'll go, I suppose.
Okay.
If my hood is up, definitely make sure it's down
hmm
when I approach. And it's going to be a pain in the ass to unsheath or to take the sheath off. So I guess probably unsheath the bastard sword and present it flat at the blade out
Okay.
with the bow. Irvier Hollowbrook at your service.
Over Hollowbrook.
Once
Mhm.
taken, probably take the shield off too, just to be safe.
Yes, and he would note the shield as well. One longsword and shield
Sword would
is
be
across.
particularly pristine,
Mhm.
probably not seeing much use, and the shield is, of course, bears the holy symbol.
Right. And yes, he would note that. I was going to ask, I don't know if the like cross guard is like a set of scales or anything fancy. It's
No,
just a pretty bog
nothing
standard
that
longsword. Okay.
I was level
Um,
they kicked me out.
and he would at some point ask you to turn slightly and at least like pull back the edge of your cloak so that he can see the sheath just to describe it.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't need you to take it off, but he just wants to get a look at
Yeah.
it, note color and
Ooh,
all that. All right. Over Hallowbrook. Signature here, please.
Is it a? I want to look at the other signatures, other names on it.
Sure.
Is it
Let's
just us,
see.
or are there any additional names?
For the day, it is just you. On previous days, there are a number of, I mean, you have
20
a
names
full
jump
of
out at me.
20. No, I think because you didn't get names of anybody else really that would have been traveling this way.
No Bev. She didn't make it this far.
You're pretty sure Bev made a run towards the castle or was dragged towards
Yeah.
the castle,
Yeah.
unfortunately. As for her
Well.
father and the orc, you're not 100% sure.
What about the cobalt?
The kobold
He barely
was
made it.
Yeah,
Barely made it.
Did he make it before?
then you don't have to register if
uh
you don't have a weapon.
It's
you
hard for
that is
disemboweled
true.
half corpses
I mean,
to
but
sign their
he's
name.
Maybe he like circled
Yes.
back.
yeah, and then he left, and
Which
then
We don't know his name though. It was just Kobold.
Actually,
Do we know his name?
Rivera, the kobold did not give a name, but it sounded as though Irina wasn't familiar with the description of a kobold, so finding a kobold corpse of the same color, it's probably him. Not to sound like I'm profiling, but
They ain't common
Racist.
around these
But
parts.
that is
Irvir,
reasonable suspicion to stop and frisk.
yes. Irvir, please give me history or insight, your choice.
Let's see. Oh, we definitely go inside. Wahoo!
Okay. Um, I actually think maybe there is a name that would stand out to you. Um, you would see Ralden, Ralden, Barrows, Barrows, which is a name that doesn't strike you as matching any of this out of game to say.
It
Eastern
doesn't sound Slavic.
European, right.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that maybe stands out to you. Again, you don't know the name, but that's not a local, you're pretty sure.
Okay. Fair enough.
Not enough Blankakovich
Yeah.
involved.
Not nearly enough consonants.
Right. Um, so, if you're looking for unusual names, that's probably the one that stands out.
Make a note of it, then just sign my name and move on.
Okay. Welcome to Valaki, sir. And then he
Thank you.
would look
Pleasure.
up at Narlug
Mhm.
and then up a little further, having not got
Hello.
it calibrated correctly the first time. Uh, Good afternoon, sir. May I have your name?
Sure. My name is Narlug. I don't have any weapons to register though.
Ah, Narlug. Same thing. Butchers the spelling.
Yeah.
Um, and no weapons to declare. Uh, and he would note down, green gray skin, or is it gray brown or green gray?
Yeah.
I know I
Grayish
asked
brown.
you. Grayish brown, sorry. Gray brown skin, tusks, quite tall. Um, and yeah, he would kind of, again, study you a bit, but you're dressed more, um, how should we say? Obviously, as a backliner, you're not wearing obvious armor. You're not carrying like an empty sheath or anything.
I don't look like I'm
Uh,
raiding anything anytime
right.
soon.
Um, and he seems satisfied with, not having any weapons to declare. Um, Very well. Sign here, please.
Okay.
Turns
And
to the
Narlug
ground
is
for you.
actually pretty well written, so he signs it
Mhm.
nice and neat.
Yeah, you've got a nice
In person.
swirly cursive
I got my own
signature.
quill. Booga.
Yeah. Um,
In your pocket protector, actually, I prefer to use my quill. It's
yes,
ergonomic.
the balance of this one is much better. Yeah, and seeing your like impeccable penmanship, you definitely see like a look of mild surprise. And he'd watch you write and then look back up at you and watch you finish and just shrug and nod. Welcome to Valaki, Nalug.
Well, thank you.
And kind of making sure that's the last of your group. Um, Very well then. I bid you all welcome to our fine city. See that you don't find yourselves in any trouble.
Been hearing a lot of
And you're
that
sort of
lately.
free to explore. Yeah, isn't that sort of the state of being an adventurer? Let me double check real quick. Um, I believe I have a handout for you because um, it would not be a spoiler to show you the lay of the town, I don't think. Of course, I don't have a proper handout. However, I can simply move you here. As there would be at least simple diagrams of the town posted throughout, kind of to assist in, uh, navigation for people who
Dynamic
are
lighting's
visiting.
on.
Oh, is it? Why would they do that for this map? How's that? You guys are coming in from the eastern gate.
Here we go.
And yes, You have been informed of at least one place of interest. Um,
We have many
the
places of interest.
yes, well, I guess two. Yes, so the Arisec Stockyard. You'd asked about weapons here. You had also asked about a place to stay, the Blue Water Inn, sort of here, central in town. Um,
We were also told
and
about the church.
I was just gonna say, it would be pointed out to you by Irina, that St. Andrew's Church is over here on the western edge of town.
We were also
Um,
told that that church may not be as great as we had hoped.
yes, Madame Eva seemed to imply that it might not be as sacred as everyone seemed to believe. Also, the Burgomaster's mansion that they had nodded towards when they mentioned the Baron is here. But yeah, you are sort of free to roam the town. And Irina would kind of look up at the sky. Um, well, I certainly feel much better being within the palisade walls, even at night. But we have a few hours of sunlight left if there's anything you wish to see before we either, well, check on the church or find a room for the night.
Kind of curious about the weapon shop.
Sure. It is pretty close.
Yeah, we could hit the weapon shop and then go to the church after that, and just check out the town as we walk around. I'm
Fair
down
enough.
with that.
Do, 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 do. I hate that there is. Why is that named that way? Well, okay, that's fine. Yeah, you kind of walk your way down these, sort of wide, well cobbled streets. It's fairly nice here, actually, in town, as I mentioned. Most chimneys seem to have smoke pouring from them. There's people going about their day. You catch a few sort of sidelong glances, but most people, if you catch them looking, will offer like a little small smile, a little polite nod. Um, you do spot even in the like 3 block trek to the turnoff to the stockyard, there are pairs of guards spaced out, you know, maybe 500 or 600 feet apart along the road, that seem to be occasionally taking a loop down a side street and then coming out to the main drag. They're hardly everywhere, but they are certainly present enough that you might want to be mindful of their patrol patterns if you are planning anything shady. As you approach the stockyard, you see that this large stockyard has several locked sheds along its periphery and lies adjacent to a roomy warehouse. A wooden sign above the front gate reads Aritsek Stockyard. Parked along the sort of back of the area on the south end of the stockyard is a sturdy carnival wagon. Colorful paint is peeling off in many places. Faded lettering on the sides spells out the words Rictavio's Carnival of Wonders. And you can see even from here, there's like a big, heavy padlock on the back. Um, Big old wagon.
Wonder if he's got a monkey.
Uh,
I mean, monkeys are more like a circus than a carnival, right?
And kind of,
Never been to either.
I
let's
can't
go here at
say
that
I've
point.
ever been to a circus. She kind of blinks at you.
You should ask Rictavio where monkeys are. It's his carnival.
Fair enough. Um, I've only visited the stockyard a few times, but we'll probably find Gunter in the actual warehouse. And Irina would actually kind of not paying attention to the fact you might want to case the joint first. We'll just step up and call out Mr. Arasek and head off towards the warehouse.
Irving will follow.
Yeah, I'll go. If there's some questions I want to ask, so yeah, I'll go.
Okay.
Yep.
Fair enough. Um, as you kind of follow along, sure enough, just inside the big, like, rolling double door on the front of the actual warehouse, there is a fairly, like, strongly set looking gentleman. He's maybe, 40. And also a woman of similar age, both dark hair and dark eyes. And Irina actually kind of smiles as though she recognizes them fairly well. Uh, Gunta, Yelena, it's wonderful to see you. And she'll walk up and shake both of their hands, and they, offer similar. Oh, Irina, it's been so long. Polite conversation. Um, and she'll actually, after just a beat, kind of cut them off. These are my traveling companions, Ervir, Narlug, Ayakabachi, and Ralmir. I think it's possible that they might have need of your services. And Gunter will sort of cross his arms, not in like a defensive way, but sort of a, good-natured lean against the door frame and, well, what could we possibly do for you?
That's a good question.
Well, bits and bobs and plenty of things around. Everything from sharp stuff to stick 'em with to nice and sturdy stuff to prevent being stuck. Also, any sort of home goods you could possibly need. Sort of the biggest operation in town, as it were. And if you need a place to store anything long term, well, and he'll kind of hook a thumb towards some of the big sheds out back. We do offer monitored and locked storage solutions as well.
Hmm.
Storage solutions. Wow. So forward thinking. Uh, what about silver?
The coin or the metal?
The metal.
Hmm. Well, of course, it's always available in the coins, but we've got a few different things.
Are silver coins actually silver?
Yeah,
So
they're
we just
like,
need like a shit ton of coins to file down to make
mhm,
powdered silver.
yeah, like literally 50 gold worth of silver is 50 gold worth of silver.
Yeah.
It is a 1-to-1 weight to coinage.
I can just turn money directly into holy water by myself. That's
Yes,
amazing.
you can. You would need something to file them down into powder with, but yes. Um, but at the ask of, the material, he casts a glance eastward to where you can see the clouds are thicker even now, hanging over the castle. We do have a few things, but it would be unkind of me not to mention that anyone carrying such weapons outside our fine city walls tends to draw the attention over the beat.
That makes sense.
Eh, do you have something like? Does he like know, or does he like can you like feel like the presence of them, or if they're
Uh,
like hidden, it would.
Far be it for me to assume how our great overlord, and he says that with some obvious eye rolling, is able to sense the presence of things. But if you ask me, I doubt he can really feel them or anything. He does have eyes and ears everywhere, though. I'm sure you've met some of the local wildlife by now.
Yeah, I've seen the wolves.
Man, those wolves were dicks.
And bats, and all other manner of creatures and people that call the woods home, as well as a few here in the city. Not the most reputable folk, of course, but, well, you hear things.
And one in particular we should watch out for.
Uh, he kind of glances at his wife, who suddenly seems awfully busy with cleaning something all the way across the store, and Irina uh, gives him a look like, "Are you sure?" And he goes, "I'd be happy to part with some of that information if you would be leaving my doors with some of my goods, but I'm afraid it's a bit of a risk to me to answer such a question too forthcomingly. I hope you'll understand."
Um. So, this is like just out of character question
Sure.
though. Does thieves, what if thieves can't work with this?
Thieves can't. Uh, Oh, you're
Yeah.
asking like if you could double speak with him to make him feel more at ease? It
Yeah.
might. So thieves' cant is really something that like you either overhear and you clue in on, or you're kind of pretty sure this guy's a rogue. It's one of those things where you could try it. You could strike
Okay.
up a conversation about the weather and hope he catches the double meaning. But I think you would know um your chances of that working without being sure that he already understands thieves' cant are minimal.
Okay.
There's not much risk if you try it, but he might
Okay.
look at you like you're crazy.
Okay. That is I'll like say like something like, is there like any particular parts of town though that seem a little bit more cloudier than others?
Mm. And he smiles and understands